Hello, this is Dennis McDonald. This is A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can get us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com. This is a candlestick telephone for a customer, David from Colorado. And this is just the initial checkout of the telephone. We're kind of looking it over and seeing what we want to do to it. And I'll show you a little bit of what's going on here. This modular plug, since this is a British telephone, it's from the UK, it is very different than what we're used to. This modular plug has to be changed if the customer wants to use it. So we're going to change that for them. It's pretty neat to see that. It's different from what we're used to. So that's one thing that we want to work on. The other thing I want to show you is this is the board in the telephone, and the ringer element is on the back, and that's the solder side. There is an IC chip here. It's mostly for amplification, okay? And it's in a socket, so we want to clean all those pins. We want to make sure they're clean because it helps to keep them clean since it's in a socket, and the chip is actually not soldered to the board. The socket is soldered to the board, but the chip just plugs into the socket. These are basically all your connections to your receive, your transmitter, hook switch, and all that. On the initial checkout, I found that the receiver was not working. And it was not working because there is an electrolytic capacitor right here. And this electrolytic capacitor is broke free from the solder on one of the legs. Electrolytic capacitors have two legs, a positive and a negative. And this electrolytic capacitor is freed itself from the board. It's broke free. And if you didn't do this every day, you probably would have never noticed it because the capacitor was just sitting there. And I looked it over, and you won't be able to tell on the camera, but on the solder side of this board, you can just barely see that it's not soldered. So we'll resolder all the bad solder on this board that we don't like. I like to resolder all of it up and make sure everything's got a good connection. So we'll do that. We'll resolder everything up on the main board and get this cap back in, soldered back in, and then our receiver will come back. Now most people would probably equate one of these spade connections that I have here as being the culprit where it plugs into the board. But you have to look at the solder too. So it very well could have been a spade connection, but it was solder, and it's this capacitor right here. And we'll check the rest of them. The other thing is the rotary most likely works, but we want to clean all these contacts and make sure that it's lubricated just to keep it working. And while we're in it, things like that should be done just for maintenance reasons, just to keep it in good working condition. And it probably works now, but it's not going to hurt it to clean it and lubricate it. And another thing that we want to check on this telephone when we're finished is we want to make sure that there's no that we don't have any static or anything like that. Another thing that I want to talk to you about is the ringer element does not ring. They're kind of hooked up a little different in the UK, and to make things simple, on the ring circuit, I'm going to add a capacitor. Okay, And I'm going to basically add this capacitor so that the phone does what I want it to do. And we'll add this capacitor to the ring circuit. Another thing that we can talk about is, this is a receiver capsule. And although I see them a lot because I see a lot of foreign telephones, people bring them in a lot, and I get them in the mail from all over the United States and Canada. This receiver capsule is different from ours here in the United States. It's just kind of neat to see that. And here's one of ours versus one of theirs. And it's quite different. So that's kind of neat to see. This is a brass candlestick telephone. It's a nice telephone. The handset cord is hardwired into the handset, the ear receiver capsule, like it would have been in the old days. And it's actually hardwired, comes through the phone here, and it's actually hardwired or plugged to the board. So, but here's your ringer element, and we will get that working when we add that capacitor to the circuit. And everything else, after we do the repairs, and we will check the transmitter, make sure the transmitter capsule is working, and the hook switch works good. We'll make sure all that works good. And I suspect it does, but we'll want to take it apart and clean the switch. I like to do that while we got them apart. It doesn't hurt, and since we're in them anyway, you might as well do that. This is the bottom plate to the telephone, and there's a hole in it, and that hole is for that ringer element that you've seen on the bottom of the circuit board. And it just says on it British Telecommunications Company. So basically it's a UK phone. And it's nice to see these from time to time. I mean, just gives you a little bit of change from what you're used to. In the back here, what you see is a Kellogg wall phone. And that is another project that we will be going through and working on. Just wanted to give you a shot of that because it was in the background. And that is from a customer. I believe that customer is from Kentucky, or Tennessee. But we will do a small video of that telephone when we get to that phone. And right now we want to work on this guy here and start repairing it so we can get it back to the customer and finish it up for them. We will do another video on this telephone where it's all put back together again, and we have the modular plug, a different modular plug on it, and the capacitor in it, and we'll show it the ringer ringing and it dialing out and using the telephone. So this is just an initial check of the telephone, kind of going through it and seeing what we want to do and what we want to change and what we want to repair and what we want to clean up on it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll do a second video on it when we finish up. Appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. This is Dennis McDonald with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. Thanks for watching.